Oh, hello. Good evening. Good evening, Tartaria, Australia. Hey, man.
How you going, Cal? Struggling through it. Had a bit of a
Yes,
lifestyle change recently.
not that it looks like it. Here's my yes, I've started doing this program called Primal Bod, and it's essentially a reboot of my system. And yeah, it's essentially about fermentation, ferments. It's the carnivore diet minus the fats, which is interesting. Add the ferments, get rid of everything else. So it's like, yeah, I think my gut is having a spiritual war right now, and it's giving me a headache. And maybe the 2,000 cups of tea withdrawals is also cracking in there. But apparently amazing results. We do sardine fasting. I've never heard of such things, but that's a thing.
That's should it be a thing though? That's the question. Sardine fasting. I don't know if I've ever eaten sardines.
I've
God.
never eaten one. No, me neither. No, it's deeply unappealing to me, but it's apparently the richest source of everything amazing for your system. Yep. So I don't know. It's primal. It's all about wild food and wild caught fresh food. And basically the terminology is that's sexy and everything else is unsexy. And which is fair. It's true. It's true. Obviously, coming from our perspective, I don't buy into so much the primal linear timeline, that
Yeah,
whole
yeah, the whole caveman kind of
caveman.
thing. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's yeah, I don't I from our perspective, that's very debunkable, right? It's very like, can we really prove that? I don't think that really was the truth. Like, we literally was very advanced civilizations. I don't know where the caveman concept comes into what bit's true and what bit isn't. But
Mm. I think cavemen are like post reset,
yeah,
you
that would
know.
probably make most sense.
Mm.
Exactly.
That's
And
what I
probably at
think.
that point you were just hunting whatever was alive to eat. I mean, there would have been, I don't know, yeah, I mean, like the death of the trees, the salt water flooding everything. There would be very short scarcity of food, I suspect. And maybe though, maybe Cam, they didn't even consume food until then.
Until then, yeah, well, because all the energy
Oh,
would have been taken out of the atmosphere, right? Because it was lowered so
yeah.
much. So
And the
it
trees,
could
the
be,
light.
yeah, yeah, the trees. And I mean,
Mm,
yeah, I think they definitely ate a lot less, right? Maybe used a few herbs and stuff
mm.
for healing or whatever. But vegetables, we know vegetables are all what we eat are probably under 100 years old, all of them.
All of them, and they're all
Mm.
poisonous, and
And,
they're all
and
genetically modified.
yeah, they're not good for us, and they've all been promoted to us, just like breakfast. Bugs Bunny brought out the carrots, and you know, bloody, it was the what's the name, the Edward Bernays, wasn't it, who brought out bacon and eggs for breakfast?
Yeah, yep, yep.
It's so I'm off the bacon at the moment. I'm off pork products because I don't know, it's all a bit dodgy, that kind of thing.
Same. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's true. Our food chain doesn't really speak about food until the last 100 years. And our vegetable and fruit chain, relative people still alive today remember the introduction of them during World War II, like they still actually remember coming home and saying, oh my God, I saw this really weird thing in the grocery store called a broccoli,
Mm,
or a carrot or whatever. It certainly wasn't a natural part. So yeah, it's true. Like
it's
post flood, the tree's dead, the life force dead, the sustenance, the nourishment that interconnected system would have created, gone suddenly. And yeah, they would have actually started turning to what would have been like cannibalism, even if it was just like animals at the time to survive. I mean, yeah,
mm.
interesting. I hadn't thought about that. So yeah, the primate diet goes back to basically the beginning of the pre-flood, post-flood world. I should have a discussion about that with her. So I'm on a post-flood diet then,
This
everyone.
flood diet. Nice. The reset, resetting your body. There you go.
There you go. So it's called Primal Bud. So anyway, we did a big show. Sorry we missed last week, but we did a big show the weekend before, and I am pretty certain you guys would have got a fucking shitload of downloads from that show. Like, it was a significant teaching. It wasn't just a deep dive. I think a significant teaching, and for those who really heard it, a masterful thing to chew on for sure. their
Yeah,
category.
yeah. Well, we've had lots and lots of, input from it. Is that the right word? People telling us about it and all wow about it. Doing the little, what do we call it? The little resurrecting your bones, or remembering your bones. Little, what
Yeah.
little thing? I don't even know
Yeah,
what to
yeah,
call
yeah,
it.
yeah. Basically reclaiming your bones, Cam. Reclaiming your fucking
Reclaiming
bones. Yeah, that's a good place to start because we did that. We did a ceremony
under
with
the
Anna
tree.
under the
Yes.
tree, under the portal tree. And shall we just share our experience? Because I think a lot of people have gone ahead and done that. And I guess it's really cool to understand that this ceremony, this ritual is brand new. Hello, we
Mm.
don't know what we this is comes down to your own initiation, your own initiative, your own imagination. Like there's no accurate way to, there's no rule to this. Like you have to
No.
do it your own flow and
Yeah,
process,
yeah,
but
we just put it
do it.
out, and yeah, thanks to Julie and Asta who sort of channeled in and got some info and wrote it out, a little ceremony for us. And yeah, again, lots of people have been doing it, and yeah, at least at the very least, feeling good
Yeah.
about it, right? Feeling like there is something there that they're actually doing. And this is the thing about this life, right? The great forgetting. Like, why? Why do we forget when all these elites seem to remember all the info from pre-reset? I mean, they've got all the books, I guess, but they remember and we don't, which puts us in like a not so good position. So it's time to remember and reclaim.
I mean, if you think of a pre-flood world when the elder trees were there, everything was interconnected. So there was no need for fucking books. Like all the books that have been printed, since then have been post-flood world books. Like they've come out from a controlled gender, not
Mm.
innately human beings. And Cam, like the process of printing a book back then, as you know, was like a fucking hard work and very intricate. You didn't just get to publish a random book of poetry or, these were all commissioned, approved of, and released. This wasn't a free-for-all publishing industry back then by
No.
a stop.
Yeah, yeah. So it was definitely only certain books and certain information that they got out there. And, it is interesting that all the books are made from trees as well, right? Like it's another interesting way to turn, the wisdom and the information from the giant trees into propaganda, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
So,
exactly. So people who are like, making their sort of thought process based on books, like, all they've really done with the books is they've printed it post-flood world, post-control world, and they're the ones that have released them. And all that's really happening is, maybe a refinement of the narrative in the books. That's really all that's happening.
mm.
So like I can't take books as any sort of historical record at all.
No, no. Well, this is the thing, right? I mean, they're all interesting, and we've got to, I guess, get information from where we can. But clearly, like everything, all the books, that they're all leading us to believe the narrative, really, aren't they? Because in the oldest books, they're all like science or religion or philosophy, which are all basically leading our thought process. So you've got to question it all, right? Like this is the thing. I mean, we don't know. Was it just all AI just printing this stuff off to give us this view of an elongated history and all of this stuff and empires that never existed, like Rome and Greece and all this it's
Mhm.
all part of it. And it's the same as today, right? It's just electronic today.
Yeah, it's
Just
true. And like, do you remember last week we were talking about the printing press and that when that came out, there were literally the first lot of publications and printing from the printing press was all about dead. It was the printing press of the dead. It was the first mainstream propaganda. It was death.
mm,
Like,
yeah, well, they imprinted on us, right? With their
mhm.
printing. I mean, it's
Imprinted, that's a good word. Yeah.
imprinted, right? Like their little story. But yeah, I mean, and the other big one that came off the printing press was the King James Bible,
Hmm.
which always spins me out because the 1600s, right? Like 1600 years in the narrative after Jesus died,
Yeah.
then they bring out the most referenced Bible. I mean,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
it's just it's a bit silly, but but that's where we get the name royalties from, because the royals are still making money off that book.
I don't know. I honestly, I mean, I just don't get it. I don't get how anyone in this sort of field of questioning anything can get ensnarled there. I still find it
Well,
incomprehensible to be ensnarled by religion at this point. I don't get it. I don't understand. It's almost like they're predisposed to it or some in some capacity. Like it's not an organic unfolding of a questioning mind, you
no,
know?
no, no. It's fear based, is what it is, and this is the thing about this whole narrative
Maybe
that's
okay.
going on now with the fallen angels and the apocalypse, and the four horsemen of Armageddon and all this stuff. If it gets people to believe in the devil, and if you believe in the
Yeah.
devil, then most people will then think, okay, the opposite is also real, which is God. And then obviously you don't want the devil, so you go to God. And
Yeah, and yeah, it's
devil and God are
polarized.
just good and evil, right? Just with extra
Hmm.
letters added. But yeah, that's the
Or
big
even.
push at the moment, because there's a massive turn back to Christianity, especially in the US, but everywhere. Like it's
I mean, I can see how it's happened, but we'll talk about that during the show because it's all related to this. It's all related.
yes,
So,
the show. We are going to be in the Blue Mountains in
yes,
Katoomba,
yes,
June 27th, no, 26th.
yes, we're coming to the Blue Mountains,
24th,
guys. This is going to
25th.
be a really fantastic. It is actually a mini Jolly Swag tour, this one, because all the elements are the same. A, it's difficult to get to. B, you've got to, like, it's not in a city, so you've got to travel no matter who you are. I highly doubt we've got one or two people coming from Katoomba. You've literally got to travel. You've got to, and it's cold, so you've got to get organized. You're in a place of like sovereignty. You have to be sovereign and organized. And, in its experience. And it's literally a Jolly Swag tour, a moment, in what's involved. I've even made a booklet just like the Jolly Swag tour, which is going out this week, because it's that in depth and detail, because it's a journey you're making to come to this show. This is not one of our turn up at the city sort of shows. This is a journey. This is a Jolly Swag tour event, and
It
it's
is.
happening at the end of June.
And
So
we're going to be on the trail too. We're driving. We've got a
yeah,
12, 13 hour drive down to the Blue Mountains, and it's an event, right? It starts on Thursday for the musos. We've
yeah,
booked
we've
out
got
a
them.
recording studio, got a sound engineer for the second day, so we want to record some stuff. So all musos, if you're going, there's a link below. I'll put it below for the WhatsApp group, just so
Yep,
we can get everyone, to know each other and to get some songs up. And then Saturday all day show. There'll be a Saturday dinner, and then a Sunday show as well with Dale Holmes. He is now confirmed to
mhm,
sit up there with us and have a chat.
yep,
Hopefully, Mads will
excellent.
come as well.
And even Rachel, if she gets her ass to the Blue Mountain.
Well, there you go.
And you know
Well,
what? We'll have a booklet with all the information. But yeah, there's a WhatsApp group for the musicians. So just so everyone's really clear about this, the musicians who turn up, and when we say turn up, like it's a 2-day thing. So the ones that turn up on the Thursday and commit to the Thursday and Friday, they get a free ticket to the live event. So just so you know that, guys, but you have to get online and register your ticket. You have to go and get a free ticket so we know who's coming.
yeah, and you have
And
to
it's
join
from
the
like 9
WhatsApp
till
group
5
too,
today,
just
and
so that
join
we
the
have
WhatsApp
some
group.
songs organised. We don't want,
Yep.
20 people turning up and with no plan. So have to get involved there.
Yes, that's right. Yes, and if you have already pre-purchased your ticket, then that's all right. Just when you turn up on Thursday, you just let me know and we'll sort that out on the spot. And yeah, so it's going to be really amazing, and who knows what's going to come. But it's just like the Jolly Swag Tour, right? We've got the musicians coming, the concert, and then on Saturday night, it's not
Oh,
just a dinner. This
concert. That's right. We're having the concert. Yes,
concert.
I
We're
forgot.
going to have a
Yes.
dance party, everyone. So we're in the RSL for the event, and we've got the RSL for the evening as well. So we're inviting all the musicians to come and do an unplugged concert for us. So that's never happened either. So
I
it's
know.
actually, yeah, it's
I know. We
oozing
need a
Jolly
choir
Swagger.
song, something like We Are the World, but not We Are the World, but something like that, where everyone can
Yes.
get in and have all the musos up singing and playing. That'd be
Well, I
fun.
definitely want the chicken dance done. We definitely need the chicken dance done.
All right.
Are there words to that with a little bit of this and
And a
there are a
little
few
bit of
words.
that. Dun, dun. Yeah, not really. Bok, 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 bok. But yes,
All
so
right.
come and join us, guys. It's going to be awesome. And it's going to be like a full five, no doubt, 6 sort of day event. You
Yeah.
know, we're going to take
Yeah.
over Katoomba.
It's going to be excellent. And Katoomba is super cute. Like I've done some research on it now. It's a super cute town
It
with some
is.
super cute elements and some fun places to have dinner and hang out and then in so much to explore. Oh my God, they've got cable car rides and they've got like little capsule rides down the cliffs and they've got so many fucking fun things to do. So yeah, if you are planning to come, give yourself an annual mid-year break. Take a week, get there, hang out, explore the area, because you'll probably never go back to the Blue Mountains. Like that's one of the reasons we went. But the main reason was because Felice was there, and Felice is the lady who actually wrote the first Tartarian theme song, which is the main song that we're going to be focusing on. And she's in the Blue Mountains. So that's how this all came about. We
Mm,
followed the theme song. It took us
we
to
did.
Katoomba. So please, this is that going out to you, man.
Yeah,
Like you're the
Felice.
main reason we're doing this.
Yeah, yeah, and she's written a second song. I haven't heard it yet, but she's penned another song for the event to get everyone to learn. So yeah, guys, click the link if you're a musician. The studio's fully stocked with everything. It's got a drum kit, just doesn't have obviously guitars and things like that. But come along and bring your instruments. Let's
Yeah,
have fun.
brilliant.
Mm.
Brilliant. It's going to be brilliant. All right. So there'll be a link to a PDF download. Can you do that under YouTube, Cam?
Yeah.
For the booklet, there's the WhatsApp group for the musicians and the WhatsApp group for just general people who are coming. So you can sort out, fucking traveling and all that stuff, accommodation, all that stuff. And
Yes.
it's all over there. Okay.
And I've had some reports too that people clicking the links on the posts we're doing in the Tartaria Australia group and Facebook are getting um, warning messages saying this is an unsafe website and things like this. So,
All right.
yes, so it's not, it's all fine. But if you can't get through, just go to tartariaaustralia.com, just type it in and it's all good.
That Facebook group, it's really hard to manage. If anyone wants to add to the moderating, that would be really excellent because there's so much fucking bullshit bots on there and, just some meanies which need
Ah,
to get out.
yeah, I agree. Even in the WhatsApp group for the musos,
Yeah, that got
someone bloody hacked it. Some trying to sell real estate or something from Nigeria. I don't know something, but that's all gone, guys. So I noticed there was a lot of people on there, and there hasn't been a lot of interaction. So if you saw that and you thought, "Oh my god, it's a scam," it's not. It's all been deleted, and it's all good to go. So if you're in there, come and say hello, and let's get this party started.
just another classic example of artificial intelligence making our life more difficult than
Yeah.
easier.
Well, the
Because
last
it's the
show, right? It was all set for schedule to be premiered and like the all normal with the chat and everything, and no, didn't happen.
right. We got the first lot of that's right. The show last time was the first time we had interference in the actual show. It's
Mm.
never happened before. We had no luck blocked it. So that has never happened at that very moment. So funny.
It's
But
getting
you're back.
crazy.
Like, it's
This
so funny.
it's crazy. I've been uploading videos, and as they're uploading, AI's going through it and like censoring stuff and like muting my voice and changing. Like it's getting mad out there. So yes, I think we need to start a Rumble channel for TA and just get it all up there, right? Less censorship. It's crazy.
All right. So, team, let's get back to the topic at hand because it's a fucking big one and it's woo, look at that. Did you just see what
You just disappeared. Oh, there you are. Oh, what's that? Is that a cloak of invisibility?
because yeah, my visibility cloak. No, I've got it on the window because it's too bright. Now it's fallen off. I'll have to fix that in a minute.
Oh,
So,
okay. Yeah, gotcha.
yeah,
Yes,
maybe we don't need
bones. Bones, and big links to memory, obviously, with dismember and remember. And yeah, I was having a bit of a look, and what they've done is when they, colonization, when they go around and they have all these resistance, fighters with the leaders, when they defeat them, they literally cut their head off and take their skulls to different countries. So
Yes.
it's capturing, the wisdom of that leader and trying to basically take it away from the native population. So they know what's going on. We've all seen the pictures of people staring into skulls. And Geronimo, right? He's a well-known name. He was Indian. I think he was Sioux. Like, and there was big wars, and they finally defeated him. And Skull and Bones, yes, the one with the bushes, from Yale, they went and stole his skull. Apparently, this is the story, and
Yeah.
they've got his skull and bones in their little skull and bones thing. So there's definitely a lot, more to bones and skulls and things than we're definitely told about.
And interestingly, in the skull and bone symbology, they use the skull and the femur bone, which is the same bones you find in the catacombs. So that's also interesting. And they don't meet in an assembly, they meet in a tomb. Did you know that?
Yeah, yeah. I did know
Yeah.
they call it a tomb. It's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
a tomb, a place for the dead.
Yeah. So, all
Yeah.
right, let's just start. I would like to start by just recalling what happened to us when we did a reclaim
Oh,
your bone
yes,
ceremony. So,
yes.
just to lay that. So Asta, we all sat down under the tree, and we had Cam and I had our backs to the tree on the trunk, and Asta just led us through the ritual, the ceremony that she had written with
Julie.
yeah, with Julie, sorry, and yeah, so basically she had the drum out, which is always good, and she ran through it, and so for me personally, I'll tell mine, and then you get in. And so basically, I basically let myself become the energy of the tree. I let myself become the trunk of the tree, and then grow through the tree and become my energy body to become as big as that tree. And then I basically put out golden threads to link me to all of my bones that are on this realm still. And there were a lot. There were a lot of golden threads, and they were all around me in sort of a 360 degree. And so I said, okay, so just I want to go to the most concentrated area where my bones are. And no expectations of where that would be. Obviously, we'd been looking at the catacombs, but actually, my golden threads in dominance went to the Vatican, which I had never thought about. I mean, as in, like, the Vatican's around us a lot in this disclosure community, but I've never really spent much time on it because like so much content on the Vatican that, I've never personally, felt the urge to go deep dive. I just take it as part of this awful unfolding. I've accepted what it stands for, all those things, but that's where I went. And so I end up in this gigantic tunnel. It was totally black and it was so long. It would have been hundreds of kilometers long, several layers up and down. And my bones had this like golden thread, and I just followed the thickest one, the most bright one, to this like cavern, this tomb area, basically. And I get into this tomb, and there's this gigantic head, like a gigantic skull from pre-flood world, a giant skull. A giant skull was the biggest and strongest skull of mine that was still in existence under the Vatican. And I hadn't thought about that, Cam. I wasn't thinking about our pre-flood bones. I wasn't thinking about the giants. I was thinking just about the human remains of the post-flood world. And there I was with this huge, giant fucking skull. So then I went back to the tree and I basically said, I reclaim all my bones, and watched every single bone come back to the tree that I was at. And it formed basically like a dome around me. There were so many, just a dome of bones, and lots of giant bones,
Mm,
which I hadn't accounted for. And then basically I basically said, I'm reclaiming all the energy and consciousness of my bones, and I let it run straight through my heart, this huge energetic surge through my heart. And then I opened up a hole at the base of the tree, and I made all the bones drop into that tree. And then I basically turned them to ash and buried them. And that's the process that I went through with my reclaiming bone ceremony. So what happened with you?
nice. Yes. Well, we sat under the tree. Obviously, we've got this quite amazing tree in the front yard. I think it's sitting on a portal or something. So yeah, I basically did the same thing, sent out my little gold threads, and yeah, just saw all these glowing bones. They weren't like glowing, like radioactive, but they had light coming out of them. And same thing, like there was some clumps of bones, there was some single ones, there was lots of them. And then I did the diamond light to bring back the wisdom and the memories from them. And yeah, I definitely had this sense of like I didn't actually see a giant skulls or bones, but I had this definite sense of giant, like all these bones I was seeing, I was realizing were giant bones. So yeah, same thing from pre-flood, which would make sense as far as the memory, because they would have held so much more information and wisdom, right?
Mhm.
And no doubt would have been probably prized, right, by the invaders, as far as getting that information out.
Yep.
And then yeah, I just drew it all back to me and basically into my body. And yeah, but I definitely had this feeling of yeah, giants and lots of life, lots of memories and all this kind of stuff. And I was just thinking when you were talking about the Vatican, we're told that they have all these, hundreds of kilometers of
Mm.
what do they call them? Annals, basically tunnels full of
Yeah.
books. Well, books is what we're told, right? Full of wisdom, the wisdom of the old world, the occulted wisdom. I mean, that could be bones, right?
Yeah, I mean, like it's so basically we both got picked up on giant bones, which we hadn't talked about, and we weren't in discussion at this point. So yeah, I mean that's really interesting and it makes a lot of sense. And of course,
Mm,
there would be if you were to basically entrap a species of beings into a new system, into a new control system, and erase their memories, like having their giant bones, their pre-flood bones, the bones that hold the seat of their consciousness pre this world, like that's very significant. It makes a lot of sense. So I guess with these ceremonies, I think one thing I would advise is you just have to keep doing it until you're satisfied. Like until you as an individual feel satisfied that you've reclaimed your bones. I don't know how many times you need to do it, how strong your energetic imprint is or your focus or imagination, but until you're personally satisfied and feel like you have completed the ceremony. Like it has to be an individual journey. Would I do it again? I think so. I think I would do it a few more times just to keep fine tuning until I get a real sense that it's closed, that it's finished, that my bones are no longer being used by this control grid. And I think it's all individual process there, and you'll know when you're satisfied, where you feel completely that you've reintegrated, re-owned, and then proper way buried your bones, however that whatever that means for you at this moment. Because our
mm,
concept of proper burial is it's so lofty right now. We really don't understand it yet, but we're getting close.
mm. Yeah, yeah, just yeah, remember, right? Put yourself back together. Remember all your bones. And we have this narrative, right, of giant bones. And what happens when they find giant bones, right? They take them away. The Smithsonian, normally get them, dump them in the ocean, which, by the way, breaks down bones faster than if they're in the earth. And it sort of disintegrates them. But this thing, we're never allowed to look at these bones, to get near them, to do anything, right? And then they basically tell us that they don't exist anyway. So is this another way that they're harvesting, the memories and the information from the pre-flood world and keeping us in this amnesia where we're all wandering around going, what's going on? Who am I? Where am I? What am I?
Absolutely.
That they've
Yep.
literally taken that out because it's linked to the Akashic records, right? Which Rachel Vaughan was saying is basically held in the waters, the water lines, the underground streams, the prime water of the earth. And like we said last week, all of these catacombs are situated near
Yep.
prime water streams, underwater streams, and that. So it's polluting the Akashic records with death and destruction and something final, right? The old world came to an end, So they've really messed up the whole information highway, if you want to put it that way, with us.
100%. Yeah, I
Mm,
mean, so like the ceremony that you're going to do is literally you have to do it to the point where you have decided you've remembered all your bones, where you've brought all the bones back. So if you feel satisfied that you've managed to cast your brilliant imaginations over your bones worldwide, then that's probably a good indication that you've remembered your bones, because it's for us at this point it's about bringing the bones back to memory, to consciousness, and that's essentially the essence of the ceremony.
mm.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'll leave that below in the description again if you didn't see it last week. Just all the wording so you can go through it. And we also have this saying, right? Skeletons in the closet. He's got some skeletons in the closet. Well, what's that really saying? It's saying that there's things, memories that they've done that they don't want you to know, that they're trying to hide away. Or like, why is that connected to bones if there's
Yeah.
not something to this, right? All the etymology lines up. It's definitely, and it was definitely a thought, and still is, right, in the cultured sort of realms, that
Yep.
memory, especially skulls, hold the essence of who we are, basically, right? And the memories of what we did. So this is what they're hiding, right? Skull and crossbones from the pirates, obviously the jolly, Roger flag, and that's the sea people, the sea people and the pirates. Are they the same
Yeah.
people, right? Why are they coming across the sea showing us skull and bones? It's interesting questions, right?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Yes, the skull and bones symbology is everywhere, everywhere once you start looking for it. I guess when I started to like look at the second part of this show, the thing that I kept playing on was the Empire of the Dead. Like, oh, because just to remind you guys that on top of the Paris catacombs, there's an engraved sign that basically reads the Empire of the Dead. So similar to the Empire Strikes Back, to the Death Star, to the whole
That's
Star
right.
Wars,
Yeah.
anthology is like it really the Empire of the Dead. And I kept thinking, Empire of the Dead, what would an empire actually mean? Like if we look at the concept of the Empire of the Dead, an empire has infrastructure, an empire has territory,
Yeah.
an empire has subjects and mechanisms of control. That's how I would define an empire. So when we're talking about an empire of the dead, and we're like tossing the idea that we literally live now inside the empire of the dead, does that tick off all the meanings? Does the empire of the dead on this realm have infrastructure? Does it have territory? Does it have subjects? And does it have mechanisms of control? And the answer is 100% yes.
Yes.
The empire of the dead is in this realm. And that's where I started with my chewing on this topic today, the
Mm.
empire of the dead. And you know what I started with? Opening question I started with. Because obviously I've been quite interested. This is a classic thing. I don't know if we mentioned it last time, but bone china.
Yes.
Bone
Yes.
china. I
Bone china.
started with bone china because, the industries that came up out of the last 300 years, because that's all I think it's been. I know they've told us this big, long narrative about the flood and da, 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 but I'm putting it sort of at that 300-year level of the post-flood world becoming a new control grid, a new control mechanism. And so if we look at it from that perspective, the industries that sort of started around the 1700s, 1800s, that's sort of the industries of the post-flood world. That's where it would start. And one of those industries was bone china, So I started to look and about bone china. And do you know about bone china, Cam? Have you looked at it as a
I
topic?
deep dived it. No, it
So
mostly
does it
crushed
does
bones.
it does it hold real bone, do you reckon? Has it got bone in it?
I would say yes, it probably does, or at least used to have, with the beginning ones. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So bone china contains approximately 50% bone ash. So bone china literally has bone, it's literally bone ash. It is bone ash. So and when you hold up bone china, you can it's kind of almost transparent.
Yeah.
It's very thin and
Translation.
right.
Yeah.
And it was very elite. It was an
Oh,
elitist object. So it was a so
yeah.
when
It was very
yeah.
close to the drinking out of the skull, right? It's the same kind of concept because most bone china is for like teacups and things.
So then I asked, okay, well, if bone china was made of bone ash, what else? What else has been made of bone ash? And I have to tell you, Cam, like if you look around your house today and everyone watching this, and you look in your kitchen and your bathroom and your dining table, do you know everything that is white? Everything that is white in our current world is white because it contains bone ash. So, and this is quite an extraordinary revelation, right? So, bones bone the structure of bones, the crystalline structure of bones, actually when it's cleaned and heated and ashed and taken to its, its refined form, actually holds what it actually does, that bone ash, is it basically removes all color and gives you the idea of white. So we've always said that white is not a color and black is not a color. Well, it's actually true. White is the absence of color. Black is
Mm.
the absence of color. And the only way you can get get white is using bone ash. So like, and most food are like, I didn't realize this until I researched. So let me just get this clear in everyone's head. The refined version of bone, which becomes what they call bone ash, is what makes things white. So if you look in your kitchen, well, hopefully not us, hopefully not our community, but if you're looking in your kitchen and you pull out white sugar, guess
Yeah,
what
right.
is in it?
White sugar, white
Bone ash,
flour.
white flour, bone ash, toothpaste, bone ash, china, bone ash, lime rendering, bone ash, paper, bone ash.
Wow.
You cannot, we've been sold this idea that white is the color of purity.
Mm.
White symbolizes goodness and pureness and innocence. But in actual reality, being that we live in the empire of the dead, white is only possible through bone ash because it's what removes all color. So back in the day with sugar, the poor people would have to use unrefined sugar, brown sugar, raw sugar, right? The elite would use white sugar. And the difference between raw sugar and white sugar is bone ash. Hmm.
That's crazy. That's insane. And I'm just thinking about like paint as well, like or white
Yeah.
cars. How
Hmm.
many white like most and our houses, get painted white, a lot of them. I mean, that's it's almost creating like a tomb, right? Turning a house into a tomb because it's full of
100%.
bones, all the tiles and everything. It's crazy. And I mean,
Yeah.
I was just
It's
looking at empire and it says like M means to put in or to cover or to cause to be. And pyre is what you burn a dead body on. So literally to cause you to be a burning dead body
Mhm.
is what empire
Uh-huh.
means.
Well, yes, I know. I did look at Empire. I know it's perfect. You can't make this stuff up. The reason it's so easy to understand all this is because once you start to get truly closer to the truth, all the etymology is going to line up. It's
Hmm.
not complicated. All the patterns will line up. All the spells will line up. You'll start to reveal them and unravel them. Just like remembering and memory and water and all the elements that we've looked at. It's all lining up. So it doesn't
Hmm.
just stop at sugar and ceramics. Now we've got agriculture. So agriculture is founded on bone and blood fertilizer.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
blood
like
and bone. Yeah, yeah,
standard.
yeah, for sure. And then we know they used to pulverize all the mummies, right? They brought over and they sprayed them
Yeah.
across all the crops and everything.
So yeah, so the agricultural chemicals and fertilizers and inputs are all about bone ash. So when they talk
True.
about refined flour, they're basically talking about the bone and blood that it's grown in.
Mm.
And because our food chain's so industrial now and so commercialized, they have total control of that. But they always had control of that. This was always since these are industries that started in the 17th century, by the way.
Yes.
Construction, bone lime in plaster and mortar, meaning that our entire homes are built using bone
Mortar.
ash. Mhm. Anything that's white paint is derived from bone ash. Lime,
Wow.
but mortar, bone ash. Bone black ink, Campbell.
What?
Black ink.
Black
Black
ink.
ink is charred bone ash.
What?
Black ink is a derivative of bone ash. Yeah, I mean, and hello,
Well, that's
everything.
interesting because that's what you're supposed to use, isn't it, for legal documents, which
Mhm.
is the language of the dead.
So paper is white and black ink is bone ash. Paper is bone ash. Medicines, obviously, I'll get into that in a minute because that's a whole other thing. Glue.
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 Clag. The old clag
Glue.
from school.
Fucking glue, man. Bone glue.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I have heard that one before, right? Like literally, they crush up bones, and it's got all the
Hmm.
well, stuff in there. Don't know what it is that, yeah, that makes things sticky, right? Makes glue. That's,
Yep.
geez.
So glue is a derivative of bone glue, and certainly before synthetic versions of this, which has only happened very recently, it
Mm.
all was bone glue. Every piece of furniture was stuck together with bone glue. Every book was stuck together with every instrument. And instruments, where do you think strings for instruments came from?
Wow,
Where do you
yeah, cat gut and stuff, and yeah,
think?
insides of animals or
You
people.
know, we told the story that all the instruments had ivory in it, but
I
there's
was
not
going to
enough.
say ivory, right? Like a big trade, and that's obviously a bone, and it's from the elephant. And what do they say about the elephant? It never forgets.
It never forgets. And interestingly, there probably isn't enough elephants alive, or the industry was never big enough to accommodate for the amount of, say, grand pianos that we have in this world, or just general instruments that you are meant to use ivory. They were certainly using bone.
Mm, yes, yeah. Well, I mean, how would you know the difference, right? Exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay.
So
Pianos.
then I asked the question, um, okay, I asked the questions, first of all, tell me what industries are dependent on human bodies, whether they be bones or skin or flesh or cells or organs.
I know. McDonald's.
Yeah. How I know absolutely every one of them. There's no industry. Basically, after, and I'll run you through it, but basically after that, I asked, what industries wouldn't collapse if we removed human bodies from the equation? There's not one industry we have in this world today that wouldn't collapse without the input of human bodies. How's that?
That's
Not one
insane.
industry today would not collapse without the
Wow.
input of human bodies. We literally are living in the empire of the dead
Mm.
far more than we've realized.
Yeah.
Far
Yeah. Well, it
more.
literally is. Yeah. We're surrounded by the dead, right? And everything else going on. And now what are they trying to introduce? AI, right? The voice of the, talk to the dead now. You can talk to a dead entity and get its wisdom. It'll tell you what to do. Just don't
Yeah.
believe it. But yeah,
I mean, the premise that I'm building here is that literally our entire economy since the
it's a dead
since the
economy.
post-flood world has operated and integrated human bodies as its core resource, as its core fucking resource, to the point they'll tell you that to the point where legally it's indistinguishable between an animal or a human remain. To the point. So, there's, obviously a million questions is where all the body's gone and all that stuff. Well, like we've never thought about this. And so this is another big part of the equation. In the food chain alone, apart from white sugar, which was an elitist subject, but apart from white sugar and white flour, take those two out of the mix. Then you've got all the gelatines. Anything made with
Gelatin is
gelatin,
literally crushed bone.
yep.
Yeah.
Anything made with it, which is essentially all confectionery. And they really pushed the confectionery industry. If you read the last edition of the magazine, Michelle did a fantastic article about the confectionery industry and where that came from. They really pushed it. And that's like gelatin based. Yogurts
Yeah.
and dairy stabilizers,
Oh,
full of bone ash, ice cream,
ice cream. Jeez.
wine and beer fining.
Oh, man.
Yep, 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 yep. All processed food. All processed food flavoring. All the E numbers are derived from fetal kidney cells. All of them. All the E numbers are derived from fetal kidney cells. Obviously, everyone's really big on bone broth and collagen supplements these days. And guess what?
Where's the
Sadly,
collagen coming from? Oh, my God.
everyone, all municipal water and domestic water filtration goes through bone char.
No way.
every water, apart from living water sources, you actually with yourself get from the fucking ground. That's why bore water is so incredibly important and amazing to have.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, because yeah, it's yeah, bringing it up from underground, right? Like unprocessed. But I mean, that's I mean, we kind of all knew this, but it's a bit weird to think that everything is based around the
Everything.
dead, right? And dead bodies, and we literally are in, a realm that they're trying to create a realm of the dead. Literally,
They have.
that's what they want
We're
us
in
to
it.
be. Well, they have. We're in it, yeah. And
We're trying. This has been in our economy since the beginning of the post-flood world. And when I can say white flour, but think about all the things people consume that has white flour, all the breads, all the
oh,
buns, all
it's
the
in
doughs, all the toast, all the
everything,
cakes,
man.
everything you cook or buy then tends to have white flour in it. You know, like everything you consume, there probably is hardly any food that you can buy that's in any way processed or grown industrially that does not have human remains in it at some point. And not just in some point, not in some tiny little micro detail, but in many cases in big ways, in big ways. So you don't
Yeah,
have to be eating human McDonald's patties. You could just skip the patty and eat the bun, or skip the bun and eat the tomato that's in the, or skip the tomato and eat the ketchup, or skip the ketchup and eat the mayo, or skip the mayo and eat the butter, the margarine. Every single one of those objects has human remains in.
it's
Fuck, eh?
crazy, right? Because we've been talking about remembering and getting our memories back, and putting it all back together. But what's it doing? Taking all these bits, essences of other bodies into us through everything, right? Like we know if they do an organ transplant, that the person receiving it can then get the memories of the person it came from. So
Yep.
what's it doing to our bodies and our memory, like consuming this stuff?
Yep. This is what I think is probably the closest logical explanation we have for dreams. The fact that when we sleep, we dream, and these dreams are so unpredictable, messed up, muddled up, mucked up. I have delightful dreams, but like how many is the idea that when we sleep we dream because we're literally, connected to the remains of millions of humans throughout everything we do and breathe and eat and consume in our lives. Is that the reason? If bones hold memory, is that the reason we dream? Just saying.
Well, yeah, I mean, it definitely could
I
be,
mean,
right? All those memories coming back out, right?
after
They
that,
need somewhere to manifest, and when you're asleep, is that why dreams are so, yeah, like I said, weird, and just they can be anything, right? Like just stuff that you've never thought about, that's not in your mind, and suddenly you're doing it in a dream. Like, how does that
yeah,
work? I mean, that's an interesting little thought, that one, isn't it?
100%. It's good. All right, cosmetics and personal care. Obviously, toothpaste has bone tar in it. That's the abrasive. And that's what makes your teeth white. That's why, because your teeth are white because they hold the same components as all the rest of your bones. Like the whiteness of your teeth is the same chemical process of why they use bone ash and everything.
Well, it's a
So
good point, right? It doesn't matter what the animal, what color it is, the size of it, like they've all got white bones and white teeth.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always white. I'm not going to show mine because they're not so white, but
Anti-aging skincares, anything anti-aging, anything on the market anti-aging has collagen in and human tissue cells. Absolutely everything that says it's anti-aging has collagen derived from animal and human tissue, 100% across the line. Injectable collagen fillers, same thing, human tissues. Cosmetic brushes, have animal hair in. That's one thing. Oh yeah. So anything to do with hair and skin products, anything to do with hair and skin products has human cells in it. And not just human cells, a lot has bone ash in, but a lot of human cells. Anything with growth serums, anything that says they're growth serums, they have fetal tissues in it.
I mean,
Fetal tissues, meaning
well, this
aborted
is the thing, right? And all the flavorings came out of what was it, fetal livers, and like
cells.
where are they getting them all from?
Yeah.
Like that's a lot, right? If they're like
Mhm.
in these massive industries. Like, yeah,
Well,
man, it's not a nice thought, is it? But
anything with any luxury with perfume, anything with perfumes in that have things like musk and
musk,
those
yeah,
sorts of like
man,
strong smells. They're all secretions
yeah.
from human or animals. I mean, I'm just giving you a very brief list. I literally could spend 3 hours giving you the breakdown of the cosmetic industry or the food industry. I'm giving you a brief list to get your heads around how incorporated, how we literally are living in the empire of the dead. So you become
Mm,
conscious of it, right? So
crazy. Liquid paper.
liquid paper, yeah. Construction. So obviously bone line plaster. That's anything white. All the glues,
Water.
all the adhesives, all of the glues and adhesive were bone chars. Obviously, like, I mean, not to freak anyone out, because we've really been sold that this is completely animal 100%, but is it leather? Because, at this point, the way the industry has been set up since the 17th century, there's no legal parameters on being able to prove if it's animal or human. There's no actual
Oh,
way to prove it because once they burn the body at a certain temperature, it kills the DNA. So you can't tell if you've got the skin of well, I mean, I don't know about leather, but if you've got the bone of an animal or a human, they've actually built it into the system. So and that's the legal loophole. You can't actually like distinguish between it. So
yeah, well, we know people have been busted, right, with leather, human-made leather. Like there's
they
some
do
guy
it,
who was
yeah.
making lamps and all types of weird stuff out of it. And I think even the Yakuza used to do it, didn't they? When they die, they get to keep their tattoos and stuff.
It's a very old craft.
Mm.
Human skin turned into things. So I don't know, like there's the leather and the wool and the silk industry. We've been told that they're all animal, derogatory, animals, but agriculture obviously blood and bone fertilize it. Now, I mean, you can go and buy, everyone has that. And if you go to a garden center, you can buy that. And that came out in the late 17th century. Every single commercially grown fruit and vegetable has a foundation of the input of blood and bone. Every single one of them. And all the derivatives of that, all the other inputs of the same elk, right? It's the same thing. They've literally made an industry out of growing our food out of our dead.
It's
Just yeah.
crazy. Like I remember, like I was watching a interview that Guy did, Guy Anderson, and someone asked him, "Where are all the bodies? What happened to all the bodies after the reset?" And he just said, "You ate them."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
we've consumed them in every sort of facet of our lives, right?
exactly. Yeah. I mean, we've all obviously got our heads around the fact that they're using humans in the fast food industries. We know vaguely that they use them in the cosmetic industries, the cells. We know vaguely the sort of the top end, the top level of all this. But when you start to go into it, into micro detail, it's a shock. Like, even photography cam. The silver process they use for photography is gelatin based.
Yeah,
Even
right.
photography can be used through human remains, can be a derivative of human remains.
God,
I
that's
mean,
just crazy.
they'll tell you it's animals, but like if you think about just what's obvious to our eyes, We've never we've never had an industry big enough with animals. Like even to this day, if you microanalyze all the hamburgers eaten in the fast food chain, there's never been and never will be a fast food chain that owns farms. They're
No,
not dependent on cattle. You can drive the whole way around Australia and you will see some farms, but you will see millions and millions and millions of kilometers of no animals.
mm,
Every country I've gone to in the last 4 years, there's no animals. China, Morocco, Egypt, Jordan, fucking
yeah,
India, fucking Japan, no animals, no cattle, no animals.
like
There's no
yeah,
animals.
but fast food outlets on every corner.
Yeah. So there's no animals, and we've never been in a situation since the 17th century where we've had cattle and animals to that level. It's never been a situation, we've never had it. If we already had it, it would have taken over the world. If this was all, if all of our industries are based on cattle and animal remains, it would be everywhere. But it's
Well, I
not.
mean,
You
if
got
you
try.
think of, all of these animals take more than a year to grow, right, to a size that they use them, and then you
Mm-hmm.
think how many, you know, animals would be consumed per person per year. Like there should literally be, I don't know what the answer is, but just say it's five. There should be five animals per person in every area, right? And that's a lot. And then of course we've looked into the cemeteries, which is cement again, right? I'm sure it's in there.
Is.
There's just not enough. Where are all the bodies going? The math just doesn't math.
No, it doesn't match. So I would say that for every animal they tell you is the like the gelatine process or whatever, whatever, I would say it's probably not. And if it is, it's just because it's been mixed in with human remains, right?
And
It's not an animal-based economy right
mm,
now.
but the main problem with that is most of the meat that you get, unless it's mincemeat, the bones are still in there.
It's true.
So they're not taking them out to use them, are they? Like most of
It's
them end up
true.
in the bin or the scrap heap, right?
Yep, that's true. That's actually so true. Yeah, you buy your chops, you buy your bones, you buy the bones with the meat. That's right. It's only mince and sausages that don't do that.
Mm.
Yes, that's
So
so true.
where are all the bones coming from?
So sad, isn't it? Yeah, so I mean, like, yeah, I mean, nuts and bolts and things like this back in the day. Oh, metal's an interesting one. I will get to back to that. All the glues, energy and the energy industry. So, they we're told and that they required candles. Candles were their main source of lighting. Yeah, and candles come from tallow, and tallow is rendered fat.
That.
Just saying. They'll tell you it's animal fat, but I don't know. Was there enough animals back in the 17th, 18th century to burn enough fat to make enough candles to light the world? I highly doubt it.
Yeah, we
Just
would have
saying.
needed a lot of candles. But I mean, I think that's also, something they've brought in, right? This whole story of people used to sit in the dark with a little candle and write and write. I think there was electricity back there, which then means they've brought candles in for a reason because candles are very linked to a ritual, aren't
They
they?
are. They
Mm.
are. I mean, if the pre-flood world, if the ether was derived from the giant trees, which I believe it was, then the post-flood world would have destroyed that connection. Trees gone, no more ether derived. So it's conceivable at that point that we were in the dark in that way. And, burning the fat, the tallow, and turning it into candles. And what else do they turn tallow into, Campbell?
Well, beauty products.
Soaps, my friend.
Oh, and yes, soap. Yes.
Soaps. Guess why you have white soaps, everyone, to this day? Yeah, yeah. And of course, all industrial lubricants.
Yeah.
They'll tell you it's tallow and whale oil. That was the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, actually. They would actually tell you that the beginning of the Industrial Revolution was based on tallow and whale oil. I mean, that's a crazy story, right?
It's crazy, especially the whale bit, right? Like, I mean, we all know about whaling and how it's going on, but really, when you look at the numbers, you think they were bringing in enough of them to do. I mean, yeah, I mean, this is a thing. Like every way you look at it, when you come back, like the most abundant resource is us,
Sure is. Because we're part of the Empire of the Dead now.
Empire of the Dead, right? I mean,
Hey,
and Christianity is their religion, right? Eat his body and drink his blood.
yep, that's right. Bone black ink. So would just let me go back to that one because that one surprised me. I didn't know this. I just didn't know this. Bone ash was used in ancient formulas for white paint and cosmetic pigments, yes, and so was bone black. The charred counterpart, the charred counterpart, right, was the standard black pigment in ink for centuries. The death media printed death imagery in bone black ink on bone white paper. white and black. The entire spectrum, Campbell, of the printed world, both made from bone. The
Right.
entire spectrum of the printed word, both made from bone. So these are books. These are books that people return to time and time, base their whole thesis on in the truth community. They are using books that were printed in bone on bone paper with bone glue and bone production. They're using words and history from books of the dead. Books of the dead wasn't like the Magna Carta, wasn't some like magical book that is only under the Vatican, these ritualistic books of the dead, that were used in rituals. Literally, our entire printing industry only produces books of the dead. Every single
Well,
one.
I mean, it definitely puts a new, meaning to the word loosh, doesn't it? But I mean, this is a thing. Like stories used to be handed down mouth to ear, right? Generation to generation. They weren't written, and any evidence we have of written words were in clay tablets. So this whole printing and stuff seems to be a new thing, right? I mean, we have the story of the burning of the Library of Alexandria back, a couple of thousand years ago, but of course that's a massive edge. We can't prove that, but books, right? Books are
Every
an interesting one.
single book, Campbell, was a book of the dead.
Book of the
Every
Dead.
single book. Freaky shit, man. Freaky fucking shit. Do you know when I was researching this, I came across this quote. This is from apparently, can't validate anything these days, from 1879 in a Prague newspaper. And it came up when I was looking at sugar, like trying to figure out sugar. Let me read you a quote.
Yeah.
With honey, you don't risk having your great grandfather's atoms dissolved in your coffee one fine morning, which is very possible with sugar.
Oh
That's a 1879 quote. With honey, you don't risk having your great grandfather's atoms dissolved in your coffee one fine morning.
my God. That's crazy.
1879. They knew all this. So it's not like this information wasn't known. It's just, of course, the more that we consume the dead, the more we live off the economy of the dead, the more we forget.
Oh, we
You
forget.
the more we're consuming, integrating, living, sleeping, breathing it all the time, we forget. We forget, our memories decline. We forget. So in the 17th century, they would know all this. In the 18th century, they were aware of this. But by the 19th century, the generation that are born into it are forgetting, and like to this point. And I think, if we look at our lifestyles in the truth community, we've talked about this before, over the last 20, 30 years, we've all inadvertently, without meaning to, without trying, we've kind of cut ourselves off from the death input. Like we don't like for the majority. I'm going to talk for me, but I'm assuming this is general. We don't use the medical industry. We don't use the pharmaceutical, cosmetic industry. I don't even know anyone who really wears makeup, anymore. Like I don't, I've never have, and no one around me really does or ever has. Um, we don't eat their food. We spend a lot of time avoiding their food and go for the most holistic version of it. We don't drink their water. We have literally detoxed ourselves step
Mm.
by step without realizing the whole picture. And as a result, our memories are getting more and more and more online.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Well,
I
it's
mean,
interesting
around.
with all this talk of NPCs and stuff, and why do some people not see what we can see? Why do they not get it? But, when you look at it, they are the ones in the system most, consuming most of the system's everything, right? Food, medicine, like everything. So that would also make sense that they're forgetting constantly, that they're getting more into the forgetting while we're getting more into the remembering. That could be that division, right?
That's right. It makes sense to me, like just to ground the concept and take away all the trippy fucking stories. Like it actually just generationally makes sense by us accidentally, instinctively removing ourselves from the death input. we are starting to remember. And by doing that, we're asking more questions, and the questions are getting better and clearer and more in line with the truth of that memory. And as a result, the spell's starting to break down. I mean, this is very, this talk today, this is like really going to get your head around the idea that you are literally living in an empire of the dead with territory and subjects and mechanisms of control, an empire,
Mm.
and it came up post-flood world as part of the invasion. And it was
Mm.
very intelligent. So it had intelligence to it. It was conscious, and it was dead. And it was
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah.
And
And
it
it
was dead.
saw us as the ultimate resource,
The living.
the living. That's what death preys upon, right? The living, clearly. And I mean, when you go out in nature, it's the opposite. Like everything's about life and expansion. Like even death actually means life out in nature, right? It creates life. And our society that they've wrapped around us is the opposite. Like it's death is their that's their ultimate agenda, right? That they want to turn life into death, the opposite of and now to the point where now there's dead entities making all these decisions, all this AI stuff that's not alive, never has been. It's the electricity,
It's
and
their
now they're
God.
building data centers everywhere that we're paying for, so that the
Yeah,
dead can
absolutely.
enslave us.
Absolutely. So, I mean, for all the healers and spiritualists and energy workers in this world watching this podcast, like this is something very deeply that you need to chew on because it's going to alter your whole process. Like, ultimately, to be an energy worker right now, you would basically be at such an inch of your power, your true healing power, without understanding this conversation, because this conversation is going to like free you and your regenerative healing energy to serve others by you freeing yourself from the empire of the dead. You can't really heal another human while you yourself are still part of the empire of the dead. You know what I mean? So like, this is a very important thing. Now, then of course I asked, like tell me how this all come about, Campbell. How did it, like where did this come from? And of course, there's a machine they invented called the cremulator. Doesn't that sound like a
Emulator.
science fiction movie? The
Yeah.
cremulator.
Nightmare on Elm Street 12, the cremulator.
Yeah, it's like the Daleks. It's like the
The,
Daleks. Doctor Who's the
the
cremulator.
cremulator. So that's what they burn bodies
Yeah.
with, is it?
Well, okay. I'm going to read this because this is
Cremulator.
the cremulator. Okay, so most people don't even know that it exists, but the funeral in because obviously it's never advertised, obviously. But our modern cremation industry cannot function without the cremulator. So basically, after incineration is completed, so they've burnt all they've removed all the useful bits, or the stem cells, the flesh, the skin, the organs, the fetal, all the things, the collagen, the oils, everything that can be removed is gone through. There's a whole process they use, and then they're left with the skeleton. They heat the skeleton up to 800 degrees, something like this. It doesn't destroy the skeleton. It doesn't do that. It just gets rid of all the DNA attached to the skeleton. Then they put it through this machine called the cremulator. And so the cremulator is essentially a high capacity, high speed pulverizer. And
Oh,
it takes about 20, it's like a machine that has metal balls in it. And it takes about 20 seconds and they turn this on and the metal balls grind the bones. And it gives you bone ash. That's what happens. That's
whoa.
the cremulator.
Gee,
But
it's like a mulcher for the body. Ugh.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They don't advertise this because, most people think they're cremating their loved ones. They think they're
Well,
going to put them in the furnace and then
yeah,
that
yeah, and they burn down to ash.
nothing
That's what I
ashes.
thought.
No,
Yeah,
they
like a
have to go
fireplace.
into the cremulator, and the cremulator pulverizes the bones with metal balls. And it takes 20 seconds and it gives you bone ash. And the reason they invented this, Campbell, is because they realized that the entire economy is reliant on bone ash. So they literally bought in this idea of cremation. This was bought in and okay, I'll give you the history. Um, okay. In 1873, so I would put it down to probably 1773, but this is the official history. 1873, Professor Brunetti unveiled a dependable cremation chamber at the Vienna Exposition at the
That's
Vienna World Trade Show. So we should look at that. The following year, Queen Victoria's surgeon, Sir Henry Thompson, declared cremation a public health necessity and helped found the Cremation Society of England. By
okay.
1878, Europe had its first modern crematoriums. The same decade as all the other industries got scaled. The bone china industry scaled, the sugar refining industry scaled, the glue industry scaled, every industry associated and requiring bone ash systematically scaled with the introduction of the Cremation Society. So there you go. So for example, one company can recycle. Oh, that's right. And then it opened me up to another rabbit hole, Cam. This is something you haven't thought about yet. This is weird and interesting. So part of the cremation process is metal recycling. I hadn't thought about that, did you? So
No.
basically, just one company, and there's lots of these companies, can recover about 250 tons of metal from crematoriums annually. All of that metal and a lot of it legal, like by law, ends up being what we use to make cars and planes and wind turbines and the free
So
energy.
they're recovering it from the metal that was in the bodies.
Yep.
No
From
way.
from like obviously metal things that are obvious, like hip replacements and knee surgery and brain
Okay.
injuries, but also all the tooth industries were all metal, or the mercuries. And then of course there's metal just consumed in the bloodstream
The
that's
heavy metals, yeah.
heavy metals. So basically now this whole industry has come up. So metal recycling versus the crematorium. So this led me to the question of asking how much metal is taken out of crematoriums every year. And basically, it's enough to basically underpin our whole, say, airplane industry or shipbuilding industry. Like you think about all the people that are cremated every year and all the metals that are coming out of humans, that's not get buried with them, my friends. That doesn't get returned to you. If your loved one has four gold fillings, it doesn't get returned to you. It gets sold off to metal recycling fucking businesses, whatever you want to call them. So
Oh my
I
God.
hadn't thought about that. Had you thought about? I've never thought
I'd
about
never thought like that is just, I mean, it's so sacrilegious, right? It's, but it just shows like this whole thing is built around us as a resource. They don't care clearly, and they're doing their best to make us not remember, right? To dismember us, to it's like the hung, drawn, and quartered, right? If you're like going against the government, they'd literally rip your body into four parts and take them to as far away from each other as they could, like dismembering you. So it's definitely an agenda that they're on about. But wow, okay, it's getting a bit
you
more
know,
gruesome than I thought.
yeah, it is. It is. And I was thinking about, because, when we talk about the missing body through history,
Hmm.
and if I think about it, if I just start that question from the 1700s onwards, then, potentially at any given battle or any sort of situation like that, which we're told was many. I mean, who knows though, really, at this point, who knows? I can only imagine the population was quite impoverished and quite fucked up at this point, quite destabilized, confused, and disassociated from reality after the flood and the loss of the trees and the belongingness to the earth, that I can only imagine that they weren't really in a position to build empires of human scale and to go to war with each other. There was an empire building, and it was the empire of the dead. There was no other empires that had remained after the flood. I don't believe it's true, because if we're talking about the pre-flood world being, dependent on the giant trees, and they're gone, and then the ether's gone, and then the belong is gone, and then suddenly you've got to deal with the food chain that you didn't need to before, and all these new variables, and you get this idea of cavemen coming in the 17th century And, I just cannot imagine wrapping my head around them being organized to actually, and sophisticated enough to have these great grand battles that we're told happened. But if they did happen, Campbell, you can see from this perspective that the bones could have been collected and ground down into industry. That makes sense after the battle. And then I asked, what about all the metal? All the metal, all the swords, all the armors, or the fucking metal of war, or the guns, or the cannons. Da, 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 da. And then, as I deep dived into that, and also the metals in our bodies, what came out of that is essentially our metal industry is 100% recycled. You know that 70% of all aluminium in today has not been produced in the last 300 years. 80 to 90% of all steel recovered and remelted today is it. We only mine about 10% that would give us the ore, the literally coming from the ground. Gold. Our gold mining is so minuscule that guaranteed the gold that you may have on that ring around your finger could have been gold used in Egypt, you know, 1,000 years ago. Like the gold you're wearing could have been the gold of someone's tooth 300 years ago. You know, that our metal industry is basically been in circulation as a recyclable industry since the flood. The metal we have, we inherited from another time,
Well,
pre-flood.
that's interesting, right? Because we're told and given all these images and that mining's massive. It's one of the
Mhm.
biggest industries on Earth. But I mean, as far as recycling and all this kind of stuff, like we're not told much about that at all. So all these, but it makes sense that all these foundries where we're told it's new metal, we wouldn't know because all they have is melted metal.
That's right.
Mm.
Hmm. So not only are we eating, drinking, sleeping, writing, everything medical, everything is from the bones of the dead and the skin of the dead and our dead predecessors. All the metals that we are integrating with in every part of industry is recycled from also those of the dead. It's not new. We barely produce any new resources from the earth in that way. I didn't know that, just letting everyone know.
Mm. I didn't know that
It's
either.
interesting. So it accounts for why there's no weapons of war.
Yeah, because they're all being picked up and melted down and put into something new.
Yeah.
That because yeah,
So,
we should have millions and millions of swords and bits of armor. If all these stories are true, there should be just metal everywhere, right?
did you
But
ever see the movie Cloud Atlas?
yeah, a while ago, I can't remember it all perfectly, but yeah, that's where they went through multiple lifetimes, kind of thing, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and in the one that was most futuristic, they the being, the human, realized that their whole purpose was to be recycled down to feed the others, that it was a human remain industry. Well, worth a rewatch because essentially that is the truth on every level.
And that's a theme through a few movies, right? Like obviously Soylent Green,
Yeah.
Brave New World.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely a theme they've put out there. Interesting.
Yep. All right. So let's have a look at what bone is kind of like energetically. Like how would you describe bone energetically? Like how would you kind of determine what that was?
Well, I don't know. I mean, electrically wise, they create piezoelectricity. They got crystalline structure, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, ultimately, they're the only solid part of us, right? As far as our avatar machine that we're living in, everything else is pretty soft and malleable, right? And bone is just, yeah, it's the hard part that never goes down. So you would think that it's, kind of like the essency part of us, right? It's the part that remains,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
is
it's
why they
right.
call it your remains.
Yep, that's right. That's right. So you're right. So like there's three kind of components to bones. Now I've understood them. One is piezoelectricity. Yeah. So what that is, because I had to look all this up because I didn't know any of these terms, right? So the understanding of it is it generates electrical charge under mechanical stress.
Under
When
pressure.
you
Yeah.
move your bone, Yeah, when you move your bones, you produce electricity. Hello, the walking antennas. That's what it does. The skeleton's literally a bioelectric generator, to put it
Yeah.
really simple. Yeah. It's crystalline.
Yeah.
The bone's mineral structure is called hydroxyapatite. Hydroxyapatite. It's a crystal lattice. So,
Hydropoxy. That's an interesting word because
yes,
a lot of these glues are called
yes,
epoxy resins.
yes. All of them. That's what they've come from. That's what makes it
Wow.
white, right? So it's a crystal lattice. Crystal store, transmit, and transduce frequency. The entire skeleton is a crystalline antenna. It's why it holds consciousness, right? And interesting when I was asked the question, why? Why the femur and the skull? Why only those two bones are behind us in these catacombs? Why? And the crystal, the skull obviously holds the seat of consciousness. And of course, it's a crystal antenna, so it remains the seat of consciousness. The femur is historically and through all the sort of shamanic traditions and indigenous traditions, is the leg bone that connects you to the earth. It's your
Right.
earth connecting bone,
Your grounding rod.
your grounding rod. Yes, so they have kept in the catacombs the seat of the skull of consciousness and your grounding bone to the earth.
So they've taken our wisdom and memory and our connection to nature.
Yes, exactly, to the living earth. That's what
Wow.
they've stored there, right? Um, so bone's alive, obviously. So it constantly remodels itself. It communicates with our endocrine system. It produces blood cells, strong. It stores minerals. It responds to electromagnetic fields, including the Earth's own. So, like when we talk about bone, Cam, we're talking about the most frequency sensitive, electrically active crystalline structure in the human body.
Mm.
Just to be clear
So, I
about
mean, and this could be another thing, right? Because if it's just our body and our, skeletal antenna that's connecting to the earth, with a tuned in frequency, like, yeah, you add all these other bones and bits of other antennas and memories, and that's going to throw it right out, isn't it?
Yep,
So
that's
we don't
right.
connect as much.
Totally don't connect as much. So disconnected, we can't remember a fucking thing.
Mm.
And we don't feel like we belong to Earth.
No.
So,
Yeah,
hello,
I know,
here's
right?
why.
Just trying to get out of this crazy place. I'm never
Yeah,
coming back.
that's
Yeah,
right. So, yes.
disconnected.
Yeah. So amazing to keep grounding these stories, keep grounding them, make them make sense in the ground. Okay. So let's just go back to hydroxyapatite. So we can just be really clear here, everyone. This is a big lesson. I'm reading what I wrote. So we all can hear it, right? So it's like we get the understanding of it. Hydroxy hydroxyapatite is a calcium phosphate crystal with a specific optical property. It scatters and reflects light rather than absorbing it. This is why living teeth are white. They are made of hydroxyapatite. This is why living bone, when exposed, appears white. The whiteness is intrinsic to the crystal structure. Bone is white because it's made of hydroxyapatite crystals. When you burn bone to ash, you remove everything that's not hydroxyapatite. What remains is pure crystalline calcium phosphate, the whitest form of the substance that gives living bone and living teeth their color. Every industry that uses bone ash to produce whiteness is using the same mechanism. This is why they use bone ash, which is a crystalline calcium phosphate that reflects light rather than absorbs it in every industry across the world to give you the color white. White is not a color. White absorbs all the color
Yeah,
and
yeah.
gets rid of color. That's why it removes all the staining. That's why it's in every fucking product. That's how it works. That's why they use it. That's why they introduced the color white. That's why white became synonymous with the elite and also then became the version of reality that we are. And hello, monochromatic world.
Mm.
We live in a world now with no color, where everything is white, gray, or black.
Yeah, pretty
The absence of
much.
color. Our
Especially the
houses.
cars, right? Houses, yeah. Yeah. Like, and definitely it's, white especially is definitely, like you said, like associated with, innocence and purity and wisdom and all these types. So it's very prevalent in all the religions, right? And if it's not white, it's generally black, which is interesting.
Yeah. And isn't it
Um,
interesting that when we talk about hospitals and doctors, they're always dressed in white coats.
mm,
It's always white. Hospitals are always white. Everything's always white. The medical industry is always white. And the death
Well,
industry is always black.
we've been taught that white is clean as well, right? And
Sure.
hygienic and all this kind of
Yep.
stuff.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
And then the death industry is always black.
yeah,
Again,
yeah.
the absence of color.
Oh, the
And the color black
undertakers.
comes from the opposite of boner, like the opposite process, but it's all to do with bones.
Mm,
That's where we get black and white, everyone. Black and white comes from bones.
it's pretty
Crazy,
crazy. What was that
crazy.
thought I just had? Yeah, I wonder if there's any products in like plastics.
Yes, of course there are. Yes, the plastic industry, even when it's synthetic, even when we're told that in synthetic, it still derives itself from human cells at its origin point. You couldn't have the synthetic plastic industry without human bodies. It would fall apart as well, even though it claims to be a synthetic version of itself. It still needs the original to make the synthetic version of itself.
Mm.
You need the original in order to have the non-original
Not,
version.
yeah, yeah. Because I mean,
Mhm.
that's obviously what they're trying to wrap us in and get us to sit on and sleep on, and even wood these days, right, is not wood. It's glue and sawdust, most of it, right? Even for walls and that, they glue like thin bits of wood together. I've lost that word for a minute. So even the wood that's surrounding us in our houses is full of bones.
Yep.
Like they've
Sure. Dead.
literally turned our houses into tombs, right? They're like
100%. Big old white tombs.
made from the
And it's
dead.
in cement, it's in render, it's in glue, it's in wood. It's in paint. Our
In
homes
paint.
are tombs. They're tombs. We're in tombs because we live in the empire of the dead. Why wouldn't we live in tombs? Of course, we're going to live in tombs. That's the empire of the dead. We live in tombs.
Tombed, yeah. Well, I mean, that's crazy, right? But I mean, we've been sort of walking down this path for a while, but yeah, I mean, now we can see we are the resource, right? For
We're the
loose, for
resource.
all industry, for everything, right? And they're literally using our essences, our bodies, to create this false reality,
Yeah.
right? That they're then all inviting us to go and join, and that reality is the realm of the dead, the empire of the dead.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
So, I mean, this is kind of like the ocean series. It just gets crazy and crazy the more you look at it. I mean, then I thought of, okay, okay, fine. Let's just take one human being on the realm who interacts with the medical system, who actually interacts with it. Like, and we all have, unfortunately, because when we were kids, we got put into it. Like, our parents didn't know fucking shit, and they put us through these medical situations. Now, think about it. Every time you went to the doctor, every time you went into hospital, right? And it doesn't matter. It could be a wound. It could be a wound that they, had to deal with blood. It could be tissue removal in surgery. It could be organs, anything to do with organs or placentas, amputated
Big
limbs,
one.
surgical specimens, tumor biopsies. All the biopsies give human waste, right?
Yeah.
Highly profitable human waste. Fetal material, obviously anything to do with abortions and babies. The body itself, when it dies. Like they all end up coming out of the medical industry and is considered waste, medical waste. Now, medical waste, Campbell, oh my God, that's like $1 trillion industry, right? Medical waste, like right down to a biopsy, right down to what they remove off you. Because those biopsies, everything that you like discard through a medical process has stem cells in it.
Yes, right.
And stem cells
Will
make up
grow
the
more
foundation
cells. Mm.
of the food flavoring industry, the cosmetic industry, and of course the vaccine industry, and of course the medical industry as a whole. Like there's a lot of like ways they use hospital waste, I guess. So basically every hospital in the world has companies and they tend to be big conglomerates, of course. Like there'll be like one or two that do the whole of America, the whole of Europe, or the whole of Australia. and they go and they collect all the waste from the
Who
hospitals.
sorts through this stuff? I'm just seeing like these underground dams full of orcs or something, like,
Yeah, yeah, it's like that, isn't it? Yep. Orcs
yeah.
white.
Because that's the thing, like we've all seen the yellow bins, like the medical biological waste, and I mean, I just thought it went off and got burnt, right? You would think, but it's like, well, it's like McDonald's, right? They don't own any farms, but they own lots of hospitals, lots of children's hospitals. So it's, uh,
If you are one of those people that give blood, or you're one of those people that will donate your body after you die, donate your body and your organs, you're
medical
basically,
research.
yeah, you're donating your body at the price on your body as a whole. If you died and you're young enough, and they like to say you're brain dead, and then they just kill you. Like if you're one of those bodies, you could be worth that one, but like $1 billion.
Yeah, because every stem cell they can grow more and more and more and more. It's not like they just like grabbing the liver and pulverizing and using it. They're regrowing those cells and growing. So there must be massive industries and warehouses full of all this. I mean, and they even tell us now, the term lab grown meat
Yep.
it has entered the vernacular. So they're letting the cat out of the bag slowly. But yeah, that's insane.
And
I mean, and
after,
is that why they trade us on the stock market? So I've always wondered, what's the worth? How are they trading and we're worth
yeah,
millions
it's
and
our
billions? But when
bodies,
you look at the body and what
bodies
they
and
can do
bones.
with it, it makes a bit
Mhm.
more sense.
Does, doesn't it? Yeah, I mean, we're worth a lot. We're
Mm.
worth a lot to this empire of the dead because we're the only living resource. So, like, first they have medical waste disposal, which collects all those things. Even if you get like a skin mole removed, that's medical waste. They always bag them and they never let you take them. When you get a
No, you're
tooth
never
removed,
allowed
they're
to
like,
take it. Even like with
they're like,
placentas,
no.
like,
Yep.
women have massive problems getting their own placenta.
Yep. Yes, that's
Like,
right. Because 1% is worth about, I think it's like 25,000.
yeah, well, that would be chock a block with stem cells and all the good stuff that creates life, right?
And every anti-aging, every collagen-based, every
Everything.
vaccine, and all your food flavorings. Yep. So, so from there's medical waste. It's a multi-billion, if not trillion-dollar industry, right? Then there's the tissue banking industry. I didn't even know about this. This is where this is the extraction stream of the whole thing. This is where they extract things from the medical waste and whatever it is. They'll extract the skin for skin grafts. They'll extract the organs. They'll extract the blood. They'll extract the collagen. They'll extract the oils. They'll extract the anything. They'll extract it all. They'll extract the bones. They'll extract the whole thing, right? So, and that's called the tissue banking industry. Didn't know this.
Heard of
Mm.
the tissue bank? No.
Yeah. And then, of course, this is the legal loophole, Cam. So you can't charge money for a human body part, but you can charge, inverted comma, reasonable fees for processing, transportation, storage, and handling. And nobody regulates what reasonable means. It's an unregulated industry. So the human tissue business makes at least $5 billion dollars a year. The human tissue industry, at least. And that does not take into consideration that when you take those human tissues and then you like break it all down into various things and you sell all those things off to various things, we're talking like it is the most profitable industry in the entire world. It underpins every industry in the entire world. It underpins every single industry. And without it, every single industry would collapse. Mm,
That's insane. That's insane. Like, oh my gosh.
yeah. I mean, we know about the placenta. Obviously, we've all heard the stories about all of the placenta issues, but I didn't know this. But the word wenuha, which is a Maori word, and I'm not saying it right, wenuha, actually, the word actually means placenta. The word placenta and the word land are the same word. The word placenta and the word land are the same word in the Maori culture.
Land,
Side note, earth.
earth. Yeah,
Earth
yeah. Land. Yeah,
and
right.
placenta are the same word. Just side note.
Well, I mean, it's a very similar concept, isn't it? You know, the earth gives us life and the placenta gives us life, has everything we need, and it's all free until the medical association get hold of it.
Mhm. So yeah, the National Institutes of Health, this is America based, spends about 100 million on research using only fetal tissue from placentas, right? And this stat that I found was like 2014, so you can only imagine today. So then they offer grants out to all the universities, Harvard, MIT universities, and then they turn them into industry. For example, the E number HEK 293, that is what gives you all the flavoring of Pepsi, Nestle, Kraft, and Coca-Cola. So that's all that one
Literally from body
kidney
parts,
cell
kidneys.
is what gives you all those flavors. That
Oh
is
my
Pepsi and
God.
Coke and Cola and Kraft and Nestle. Mm.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. Shit,
I know,
man.
right? And I
Shit, man.
mean, so sorry, vegans and vegetarians, but you're not.
No, indeed not. And actually, the vegan food supplements that they use and vegetarian supplements, they're even more riddled with it because they're artificial in nature anyway. Yeah, I mean, the orthopedic and dental industry would collapse. They literally cannot exist without human remains at all in any capacity. Complete collapse. All the medical industry, complete collapse. The vaccine industry, absolute complete collapse. You cannot create a vaccine. You cannot create a vaccine without human bodies. Impossible. The cosmetic industry, the anti-aging, all the food flavoring development, which means basically the whole processed food chain would collapse. And we're not talking about fast food McDonald's. We're just talking all of it. 99% of what you would buy in Woolworths or Coles, right?
Yeah, down to the vegetables, right? That are grown
Yep.
literally off the chemicals of your body, the blood and
Yep.
bone. And oh my, I mean, it's wow. Sorry, guys, if this is bringing you down, get up and do the chicken dance. But this is the
Yeah, I mean,
thing. It's real, right?
yep.
We've got to know what the problem is before we can solve it. So definitely, again, stay away from anything processed as much as you
Yeah,
can.
I mean, this doesn't bring me down because I just feel like, all I actually asked, I just asked about what industry would collapse and bone china. That's where I started with these topics, like, and researching, and just playing on that term, the Empire of the Dead, the Empire of the Dead, the Empire of the Dead. I just couldn't get that out of my head, the Empire of the Dead. What does it mean to have an empire? What does empire mean? Is it not just some like cute little phrase? Like, what does empire mean? Why use the word term empire? Why have all the words did they declare the catacombs as the Empire of the Dead? Like, why empire? It's such a specific word. It has
Hmm.
such a specific word, like to grasp it, that this all occurred post-flood reset, post-flood control grid reset, and the invasion that came from the dead, the artificial intelligence, the electricity, it all came from the dead. Like, it makes so much sense. Like, we don't have to even stretch our imaginations at this point. Like, literally, we were declared citizens of the subjects of the Empire of the Dead. And we underpin the entire industry of this reality. And it's all to do with human remains and human bones. The entire thing. Fucking the entire fucking thing.
Yeah, man, it's like all the great civilizations we're told about. They're all empires, aren't they? Like the Roman Empire. Like why that word? That
Why
only
that
sort of
word?
appears there because we used to have things like kingdoms and principality and all these other different words. Countries, cultures. But why are they all empires?
Empires. And every time we look at one of these empires, inverted commas, we can never evidence it, Campbell. We can never fucking evidence these empires. We evidence um we evidence citadels in on the old maps. Like on the
Yeah.
old maps, you can see these, and we can with our own eyes see that there was cities that would appear to be empire-like, but they're like fundamentally different from the term empire. Empire
Hmm.
seems to be absolutely, and by its very definition, read the definition again. Have you got it still up?
Um, M was to, no, I don't, but it was to cover or to make like. And a pyre is a funeral pyre. That's where they burn a dead body. So to make you like a
Make like
dead
a funeral.
person,
Indeed.
that's
Indeed.
being
So
burnt.
every use of the word empire is derivative of the dead.
And it's literally that they're kind of telling us, right, that we are the resource,
We are the resource.
right? Once we're dead and they turn to bone ash, then we're made to look like everything else because we become everything else.
So it's a thing, a massive understanding of this reality. So step one, understanding that the catacombs exist and they underpin under every major city in the world. That they underpin every major city to a vast reality we don't even know yet, like that we don't even know about. That
No.
it's we see these tunnels, we hear these tunnels, which I believe are the remains of the tree roots, the giant tree roots turned into these broadcasting setups to encapsulate the living. And every time the living go through a birth and death process, because they're consuming and living as part of the empire of the dead, they keep forgetting more and more and more, and then become more and more easily to control. And our life force is suppressed, and we grow old quicker, and the generations are dying out quicker. And nature doesn't account for any of this. The natural world just goes on and on and on, but we never see the accumulated of domestic animals ever. That is so obvious to us. Like you would not, we've done, if you backtrack to one of our shows on the food industry, you would see we've talked about this so much. Like there's literally no evidence of there being enough domestic animals to account for the food chain. There's
Hmm.
no bodies anywhere. There's no new graveyards. There's no new funeral houses. There's a massive push with cremation because it gives you bone ash, which gives you the color white and the color
Hmm.
black, gives you the underpinning of all industries, and all of the metal recycling happens as well in this crematorium space. Like, whoa, man! Like you
Well,
can see how it all fits in.
that's it. I mean, and for one, we don't even really know what the ash is, or if there's ash in most of these, funeral urns that they give you, because most people aren't going to look or open them. But I mean, even if they just gave you half and they took half, like that's a lot, right? That would be millions and millions of tons a year of this ash that's and no one would really know because we don't know what a body reduces to as far as ash. We don't. So what if they're only giving us half? And of course now it's a big thing with animals too, right? Everyone used to bury their animals in the backyard. Now they're getting them cremated too, right? So it's it's a big industry, right? And we because we're just
Yeah.
nice men and women, right? We're nice. We're nice. We don't want to think about this stuff. So they get away with it just, because we're not asking the questions because we're not psychopaths, basically, or dead. But yeah, it's literally shortening everything. The cycle's getting quicker and quicker and quicker, right? Which is what they do in industry as well, right? Cut costs and do it quicker and make a, worse product. And you've got to wonder if all this stuff they're putting in the food and the water and the air, if that's somehow helping their manufacturing process. Why are they filling us full of all these poisons? Is it so that our bits are more useful? I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean, it definitely just degrades our consciousness. It just keeps
Well,
degrading our consciousness. It degrades our consciousness until
yeah.
we kind of get to a point in the generation cycle where, the generations before us has asked enough questions to remember. They've tried to remember. They've questioned it a little bit more, a little bit more. And eventually here we are with instinctively, removing some of these major elements that are founded on the dead from our systems. And
Mm,
so naturally we're remembering a little bit more, and sort of like, this is the process. It's not a waking up process. It's a remembering process. It's a memory
remembering.
process. And like this connection to living waters or the waters of the dead. This is what our show's about, the lives. We go into this in detail. This all is fundamentally connected. So like drinking the living waters, drinking drinking bore water or well water or mountain water or stream water, living water, that's going to reassure your memories. That's going to quicken your memories. I lived on bore water for 15 years at my old farm. Like
Mm,
it's done something to me. It's done something for me, and I didn't even know. 15 years on bore water has assumably helped my consciousness dramatically, and I didn't know. And so many of us have done things like this along this life in this lifetime alone that has gently and systematically started to restore our consciousness, right? To the point now we can become conscious of that consciousness being restored. Like, it's just like there's no story in this. There's no savior in this. This is generational science.
Mm.
This is the way the human being develops. So we're in a process now of really remembering that we're alive and now becoming conscious that we live in a reality based on our dead body, and like we're breaking through. And the next big thing, and I'm going to take this back to the campground again and again and again, the next big thing of our lifetime, for us this lifetime, is to be buried proper way. Like, because I'm totally convinced that to end this cycle is not something we're going to achieve while we're alive. We actually have to go through the proper way burial process to actually be born again to this earth as earthlings with our memories intact. The death and dying process is fundamental to this whole journey that we're on now. We have the opportunity now at this level of consciousness and for the next 50 years to die specifically in a place where we belong, proper way that's going to end this fucking cycle. Because at this
Mm.
point, we have a generation that's born with all its memories intact. That's the end of the game. The empire of the dead will fall.
Yeah, totally. Totally. I agree. Like it's all about, us remembering and knowing who we are being born and knowing what's going on and where we are and how we're connected to the earth and everything. Like, we're a species with amnesia and it's getting worse. The great dumbing down, all this kind of stuff. The more you interact with the dead, then the more that's going to be your reality, right? Is going to be the world of the dead, which is, everything, but it's also definitely the internet, right? The computers, the gin, the smokeless fire, like all of this stuff. It's crazy when you look at it, like it's everything. It's everything is dead, about death. And then in the end, just as a kicker, none of us really know what death is. Like we don't have a good concept of it. We have no relationship with death. Most of us, it's just this weird thing that we don't want to experience, and it's scary and it's sad and it's all about loss and all this stuff. But it could be the exact opposite. But they're definitely keeping us in the dark about what death really is
In the
for,
black.
for obvious reasons, right?
Yeah. Absolutely true. We're in, so I don't think that this awakening process is a short fix. I think this is a long-term view. Like, it's generational, meaning we can end this, but it's gonna have to we have to die first. We can end this, but we have to die first to remember. We can end this in one generation with our death, basically, and our rebirth. So for everyone who's still caught up in the idea of they're not from Earth and they don't belong here and they're going to not, they're never coming back, and they're not going to, they're not going to reincarnate on this in this hellhole anymore. Like, you will be coming back and you will reincarnate because you're an earthling, and this time round you have the opportunity to end this cycle by
Mm.
being conscious when you're alive and piecing it all together, and then to die proper way with your bones and your consciousness and to be born again. That is the true awakening. This is a generational long game. You're not going to turn into an enlightened master this lifetime. This is a generational long game. You could turn into a great teacher. I will turn into a great teacher this lifetime. I know that's my destiny this lifetime, but it's going to be my coming back that's going to make the actual everything we're asking for in the truth community is going to occur if you can die consciously and be buried proper way and be born consciously. That is the end of this cycle. So this isn't a short fix. So
Mm.
settle in, team. We've got another 50 years left. And for those who've got less than 50 years left, get your head around this right now. So let's go to, what does it mean to be buried proper way? What's your understanding at this point, Cam, of being buried proper way?
Well, it's definitely in the earth. A lot of sort of concepts say it doesn't really matter if you're, burnt or not. I would think that it's probably just to be buried in the earth, and in a place where you belong, right? That's familiar to you, where you're in tune with that energy, and where you're going to have people remembering you, right? Once you're gone. So yeah, I think that's really the main crux of it. Um, obviously try and die well and, a good ceremony.
I mean, if we look through all the traditions, like through sort of, and when I say traditions, I'm saying pre-flood world. Whatever stories remain from those traditions into the current paradigm we're in. If you look at the Egyptians, they had an elaborate way of burying their dead. I mean, they had the book of they were all about the burial process. It was like a fundamental journey that they took. The death and dying and burial process in the Egyptian culture was massive. In the Hindu culture,
Mm.
exactly the same. There was like so much around how to die and be buried and properly. The indigenous Americans, they had a whole, like similar to our indigenous Aboriginals, the Celtics, they had a whole elaborate process with the dying proper way. They would build mounds on ley lines.
Mm.
The mounds, the Celtic mounds, they're all on ley lines. They were them burying the dead deliberately on the Earth's frequency grid. Like they were big traditions. So our indigenous here in Australia, when we say proper way, we as Australians, we're talking about our indigenous proper way. And to them, it's about being buried in the earth, as you said, definitely in the earth, in the country that you belong. So where you belong in that earth. So it's like, and to be buried, on a songline and essentially with the frequency of a songline that was connected to that individual person, that bloodline, that country, that sort of energetic, there's a whole process there. The remains are in the right place. You put your bones in the right place. You're buried in country, you return to the land you came
The
from.
right
That's a
place.
frequency circuitry that completes the frequency circuitry of your
Mm.
crystalline grid, of your crystalline grid, and you're back in the right place, the black where you return to the land where you belong.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah, it's
that's,
interesting to have funeral rites,
yeah.
but you got to be in the right place, right? Right, right, right.
Yeah. I mean, and it wasn't an option, like it wasn't an option. It's what they did. It wasn't like there
Mm.
were all these choices. Am I going to be cremated? Am I going to be buried in a cemetery? Am I going to be my ashes scattered out to the ocean? None of that. Like it was all very like, specific. It was very specific. There was no like hit and miss.
Well,
How many people have been cremated and then spread their ashes all over the I'm not look. I know I've done this. I have done this to people. I have spread their ashes at their request. I'm not judging that process. I'm just saying there's a deeper understanding of consciousness around it. So if you've done that with your loved ones, like don't beat yourself up right now. Don't like
mm.
think you need to fucking go back and fix it and you fucked up their entire incarnation process and they're never going to return and wake into like we didn't know, right? We've all done it. We've done it out of love and, out of, personal requests from the people who've died. Like we were fulfilling their requests. That is true. But, because we don't have, because they own the death process, Campbell, we don't have the rights to bury ourselves in the ground. That's illegal.
Mm. Yeah, 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 exactly. People used to have family plots and stuff on their land, and yeah, it's totally illegal now. It's because they want your body parts. Right? It's got to go through their system, right? Give you back an empty body.
Yeah, I mean, and imagine that suddenly, like, sudden the flood, then we enter this new control system governed by the dead. We become part of the empire of the dead as declared by the dead. Electricity starts to emerge and the AI and all the fucking dead shit. Imagine the impact on the earth, where suddenly, out of nowhere, no one's being returned to the earth systematically across the whole world. No one's being returned to the fucking earth. No
Mm.
one is being buried proper way at all.
And
It's in fact it becomes illegal.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You can't do it. And energetically, right? And memory wise, like if we're buried on ley lines, we're then putting that knowledge of that lifetime, that experience back into the earth grid, back into the Akashic records, back into the memory of the world, right? But now that's not done, right? Like, got to be in a graveyard, you got to be whatever, dismembered, basically.
Absolutely. And it's all systematic, ritualistic, and deliberate.
Mm.
Basically, from this perspective, we operate on a ghost frequency. We're living ghosts. We're living in a ghost frequency. I mean, systematic removal from burying the dead in the earth. Illegal, can't do it. No one can do it. It's denied. Access denied. Processing our remains into consumer goods. You know, ingesting the dead. Our remains processed into our food chain. And this has been done for the last 300 years, you know. And so we're now living essentially on a ghost frequency, not even metaphorically, like literally, Campbell. We're literally living on a ghost frequency. Unbelievable. This is
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Is that the reason why all these elites and psychos seem to live longer? Is it just because they're not eating the dead, that they're living off different stuff to us?
well, I think they're
Is it because
vampires.
they are dead and that frequency aligns with them? I
Yeah, it's
don't
their
know.
food. They're dead.
They're dead.
They're already dead. So they're just getting stronger and stronger because our whole world feeds them now. We are feeding the dead to the dead,
Feeding them our memories, our knowledge.
our loosh and our blood.
Mm.
They love our blood. So, you know, we've got this thing we talk about all the time called the Schumann resonance, which people tell you is the resonance of the earth.
Yep.
Oh,
7.83, they say.
yeah, that's like everyone talks about the Schumann resonance a lot, right? It's like a big
Yeah, it's
conversation
going
in
up
literary
and down. And oh
community.
my God, did you see the Schumann resonance? Yeah.
Yeah, but like, why are we not really affected by the Schumann resonance? Like, if we're told that the Schumann resonance goes up and down and it's big and blasts and like there's all this sort of like technology that like can kind of like observe it and watch it and observe it, but we seem to not be like able to take charge from it. You know, like why? What's blocking the charge from the Earth's living pulse, if you like? Hello, living inside buildings made of processed bones? That would probably be a pretty good blocker. Are we living in a living Earth Faraday cage, Campbell? Like literally blocked from the frequencies of the Earth, eating the processed remains of dead people? Would that be like a Faraday cage from the Earth's
On
circuitry?
the earth. Yeah,
Drinking from vessels made of bones would that block the Earth's frequencies from getting to us? And probably yes.
probably yes. Yeah. Um, yeah. And what are all these frequencies that they're sending out to, we hear so much about 5G and 6G and, what is that? They tell us it's the internet, but, most internet goes through cables. There are jumper stations, obviously, but are they broadcasting, the dead? Right.
Yes.
It's again, it's very,
Yes.
what's that? Oh God, what's the Glasses movie? They Live.
Yeah.
Like that's what they're doing, right? They're broadcasting this thing of the dead and they're all dead and we just don't realize it.
Hmm. Totally. So the Earth's frequency, the
So
living
the
Earth
earth
frequency, is essentially
is
been replaced
blocked.
by industrial processed death.
In dust, in dust rail. That's
We live in
interesting.
tombs, don't we? We live in tombs.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. Yeah. Like the houses of the dead. We've been entombed by our consumerism.
So
Right.
we could replace the word terraforming with necroforming.
Necroforming. Well, it is terror as well, right? But terror's earth, obviously. But
Yeah.
necroform.
Shaping a living planet to saturate it with the dead at every single
Realm.
interface.
Mm,
Yeah, realm.
realm.
Well,
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
like technically, we could say, Campbell, that when I say the word planet, it is linking to their version of it because they're the ones that created the word planet. They're the ones that created the idea that we're a planet, a round planet in space.
Which
That's
is
their
again, it's like in this infinite death. There's nothing there. It's just infinite
finite,
emptiness and nothingness.
surrounded by black,
Black,
the
black
black
nothing.
finite space.
Yes, and you can't go
So,
there or you'll die.
yeah. So they've been necroforming our planet. They've literally replaced every single living system with a system of the dead. like literally through every industry, everything that we're surrounded in, to the point where all of our cities are built now on top of like catacombs of dead
Mm,
bone.
yeah.
To complete my
Yeah,
point.
and everything that they're doing, nefarious that they want to hide, they're doing underground, which is again like getting into the ley lines and the water lines and song lines and like so it is definitely an energy invasion, right? It's just a lot worse than we thought. They're like literally changing the frequency from life and expansion to death and retraction, right?
Yeah, totally. Finiteness. And we may be the first podcast to even put this together and talk about it. Like it's like this, I have not come across this information before, and I haven't seen anyone else talking about it. So this might be a first of reconciling this concept. I mean, the living soil, obviously I'm in regen ag as a thing. The living soil has literally within industry been replaced with blood and bone.
Mm,
I mean, so all your food is now but living water. The living water has been replaced with bone char water filters, which are what makes up all of your town water, all your bottled water. Every piece of water you can consume, unless it's living waters from bores or, you know, straight out of the earth that you're in charge of, has been replaced and filtered through bone.
yeah,
Living
and that's why they
food,
need so much
been
control, right? That's why they're trying to make it illegal to even catch water, and to grow organically, all this kind of stuff, because they need to control it and make sure you're getting your
right.
share of death.
That's right. It makes so much sense now. They've banned vegetable gardens and they've banned rainwater tanks in all sorts of places in the world, because, yeah, they need control of it because
Mm,
they want your water filtered through the dead. They want your food being processed through the dead. Your living buildings have been replaced with bone lime plaster and bone lime glue and blown wood and bone paint. Your living buildings replaced by tombs.
mm.
The living ground being replaced by catacombs full of skull bones. I mean, your living medicines. You know that there was one year in the history, it's probably worth a whole show, where Rockefeller bought every single like herbal school. Every
Yeah,
single school that was teaching about herbal medicine bought and shut them all
yeah.
because they don't want your medicines to be live alive.
No.
They want them to be bone derived pharmaceuticals, man.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Then he introduced like literally doctorates he created. So then it became illegal to even, like it did in the 2020, to even speak about health unless you had a doctorate. So he wiped them all out very quickly.
Yep. And how's how doctors and nurses became the greatest bringer of death through the vaccines?
Yeah,
The medical industry has been responsible for the most amount of death as well, that all filters through in a
oh,
nice recyclable system of the medical industry
completely.
by your angels in white.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
in
think it's
white.
ironic now that with
The
all the religious,
flying nun.
the messiahs and the religious people are always white or black. They're always dressed in white or fucking black. And even our
Or
dying
blood
process.
red.
Living death burials have been replaced with crematoriums. The
Mm.
cremulator.
The
You
cremulator.
can't die and be buried in the earth. It's illegal. Your family would go to jail for burying you in the earth.
Yeah,
It's in,
literally. Even animals. I don't think you can do it with. You're not supposed to do it with animals anymore. I mean, do it anyway, people clearly, but yeah, they want to control that whole process of death, right? Why? So they can recycle death back into the living.
yeah, because it's an economy, man.
It's an
It's value.
economy, the death
Yeah.
economy.
Yeah. And this is all over the last 300 years. And then what else happened over the last 300 years? A systematic annihilation of all the indigenous cultures that would teach how to bury in proper way.
Mm.
Systematic. Boom.
And how to live with the earth. They literally lived with nature and everything from nature. There was no death like, put into the mix. It was all natural, abundant, given freely.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, man, there's nothing much to uncover on this topic. I mean, that's kind of like the summary,
That's it.
that's
It's
like
everything.
I mean, we live literally in a ghost realm. We live literally in a situation now where we have no right to our own burial. We've highlighted today how much you're worth dead to every industry, and how every industry would crumble and fall if human remains were not a part of it. Like, I mean, I don't know how to advise anyone from here on in, but just simply to get your consciousness around it. I mean, that's step number one, to actually see it clearly, to see the clear picture. You can't avoid it by going vegetarian or vegan unless you're, the only way to go through this is what we've always said. You have to reclaim your own sovereignty. You have to do that. It's the only way. That's the only way you're here with us now is because you've already done that
Mm,
systematically by step over the last 30 years. That's because you've done that step by step. Use yourself as evidence and validation for the impact of doing that step by step, because here we are able to have these conversations step by step.
mm,
You know, there's no big, grand, like action step you can take, but try to drink good water, try to eat food that's holistic that you're in charge of. Try to don't interact with the medical industry or the cosmetic and beauty industry. Like don't use white would probably be a helpful thing.
mm. Yeah, yeah. Bring back the color and just make the best, decisions and choices you can, right? Support local people. Like, don't go for processed anything if you can help it, right? And this is what we need to do. But like you say, it's baby steps, right? We're not going to turn this around in a day or a week. But we just need to make better decisions, which at the same time, cuts off funding from the corporations, and of course, the word corporation, corp means dead. Like, it's literally a dead world ruled by dead companies where they see us all as dead, and then they feed us
Yeah.
death.
Yeah. Ruled by dead people who
Mm.
aren't
Ruled
people
by dead
with a dead
people.
God
Yeah, a
that's,
dead god that you
artificially
worship on,
intelligent
on a
with
cross.
dead light, which is electricity.
Yep, dead light, false lights. Yeah,
Yeah, with dead water.
dead
This
water.
is like indicative. Like when we set off with the live shows, we went through, we didn't know we'd end up here, but now we've ended up here. It all makes so much sense. Like it makes so much sense. But the big moment, the big thing you need to, I believe, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am, is the big like conclusion to all this is to understand for the next however many years, you want to get yourself into position to die properly, that this isn't something that you're going to do the same way the generations before you and your family have done, that this is not something you're going to die in your bed in some fucking apartment or house, and then your dead body to be taken to a funeral parlor or a crematorium, and that is not what you're going to do from here on in. What you need to do is be in a situation where you belong to land of your country, where the people you're with know how to bury you proper way with full consciousness, and your bones and consciousness are buried on songlines that reconnect you to the earth grid so that you remember who you are when you're born again. Like that is basically the big step and we've got time. I mean,
Mm.
unless anyone's going to die accidentally, like we've got time. Even the oldest among us have time, but it puts a whole other slant on the trust in the campground, a whole other slant of the purpose behind it, of finding, because we don't belong to the earth. That's the other thing that's happened here is that they've systematically made it impossible to buy land. Like they're so clever in how
Basically.
they're all about preventing us to be buried proper way. Like they have done everything in their power to keep us as part of the subjects of the empire of the dead. And the
Mm.
last thing they need to do is keep you off the land so you're not buried into it. That is the last thing they need to do. Even when they bury you in cemeteries, which hardly happens anymore, Cam, as we've already talked about,
Yeah.
they put you in a box.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
put
yeah.
you in a box. So even then you can't be buried proper way. You have to get out of their burial system. That is the only way through this. I'm so certain that everything that comes to me from here on in will validate this perspective, even though we're at the beginning of it.
Mm. Yeah. Reclaim your death, reclaim your burial rights, your right to be buried, right?
because
It's
that claims your birth. You
yeah,
see?
exactly. It's part of the cycle.
Yep. Yeah, because again, we in the incarnation cycle, whenever we talk about prison planet, we're in the situation because we're not being buried, we're not dying proper way, we're not being buried proper way, we're not being buried in the earth, fundamentally not in the earth for the last 300 years. And then and even the great wars and battles, there's no bodies are in the earth. There's literally no bodies in the earth. So we're not being buried into the earth anymore. And as
Mm,
a result, when you're born skiddly hiddly piggly. Who knows where you're going to end up? Your choice is so blah, because you haven't been born very proper way. Your consciousness line isn't grounded into a node point in the earth, isn't on a frequency line of the earth. You don't have a strong line back to it.
mm.
So suddenly you can be hijacked at that point, I would say. And we can't ever validate this, but I would say you can be fucking hijacked at that point, sent anywhere they want, you know, but
Yeah,
not
yeah. Well, it's an interesting question, right? If you die without memory, are you without memory on the other side? So we're not making good decisions about coming back
and without placement, without belonging. See, if you're buried
without
without belonging
belonging.
anywhere,
Mm,
exactly. But in the opposite, if you're buried with belonging into the land on a frequency line, all those things are there, then on your rebirth, you're sovereign to that belonging and that
mm,
consciousness. So you return to yourself.
And
You
you
return to
remember.
that and you will remember. That's right, because your bones are missing.
Yeah, exactly. They were never dismembered.
Never dismembered. And
Mm,
so suddenly you've got a generation coming back. Generation X, they call us Generation X. X marks the spot.
this marks
X
the
is where the
spot.
treasure is. X is where they bury the treasure on the treasure map.
That's
The
a good
pirates are
point.
always looking for the X, the buried treasure, us. And when you come back to that buried treasure, the Generation X, our generation, will basically be masters again. We'll be full embodied, full conscious human beings, part of the living earth grid. We will be masters again. And with that, no empire of the dead can hold. So when we talk about this idea that they're losing control and their time is up, well, yes, this would be that.
Mm,
They're not losing control because some magical force is going to come and blow them out the water, and some savior's going to come and change the game and like find us all. That's not what's going on here. They're losing control because we're remembering how to die properly.
mm. Yeah, which means we'll remember how to live properly.
Yes,
Mm.
exactly. Exactly. So fucking excellent. What a
Yes.
great new understanding.
Oh, there we go. Geez, that was a long one, I think. Geez, 2.5 hours, more than that one. There you
It's
go, guys. And yeah, let us know what you think about this. Let us know if you tried the ritual, what we call it that, of reclaiming your bones from a couple of weeks ago. How'd you go? And let us know if you're a musician. Are you coming? And if you're not a musician, are you coming to the Blue Mountains, Katoomba, on June the 27th, isn't it? 27th.
Yeah.
So we've got the recording studio the 25th and 26th for musos, but you do have to join the WhatsApp group below just so that we can get stuff organized before you get there. And if you have any issues with links, just go straight to tartariaaustralia.com and everything is there.
And just so you know that the live shows is like you think we've said it all here in the podcast, but actually, when you're with us for 8 hours and we put the whole story together, and so you actually see it from the beginning to the end, like it's just such a more profound experience. Like
Mm,
you really get the whole picture grounded in, and like yeah, it's definitely worth the depth of it, going into the depth of it. So yeah, I really recommend you
mm.
get along. And the Blue Mountains is just something snowy and magical about it. I can't even tell you there's something significant about it. There's
Right?
something is. So
It's
yeah,
like it's from
if
a
you want
fantasy novel. The Blue Mountains, the Blue Mountains.
to,
That's
it
where the
is.
wizards live. But yeah, it's a much like the story is much more sort of coherent and put together in a way that you can follow it all the way through. So it's definitely not like coming and just watching us do a podcast for 8 hours. It's the whole story of our invasion. It's got everything in there. So the water, the bones are being introduced. So we thought we'd made a show that we were going to tour for a year, but every time we've done it, it's different and it's evolving and expanding. So your show that you come and see will be a one off. It'll never be done that way again. So get
I mean,
and meet your tribe. It's good fun. Everyone
yeah,
loves it. They have such a good time. We'll
yeah.
go out. We'll have a concert on Saturday night. Have a couple of drinks. Get up, sing. Maybe we'll start karaoke. Who knows?
Karaoke's fun. All
Karaoke
right,
fun.
everyone. And the newspaper's in print at the moment, so you'll be getting that in the next 2 weeks. It's very exciting. And yeah, okay, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that. I think it's a great follow-up to the Bone Stone. We did it a bit longer because we missed last week. So enjoy, and we'll see you next week on Tartaria, Australia.
All right, guys, stay awesome. Remember who you are.
Yeah. All right, guys. Have a great week. Lots of
All right.
love.
See you next time.